Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. So, I don't know how exactly I should have reacted to this kind of thing, but I sure as hell wasn't going to take it sitting down. That's why I vowed to make my half sister's life a living hell. But now I'm doubting my course of action and wanted outside advice on whether what I'm doing is just a petty move or my half sister deserves the payback. About a month ago, my mom told me she needed to talk to me. I thought it was something to do with school and was really worried. I was anxious about all the things I did in the past week and was going through all the possible reasons which warrant me getting in trouble, but my mom just told me to sit down as she needed to tell me something. Hearing that, I relaxed a little and asked her what was up. She asked me if I remember my half sister from the last time we met. Of course, I remembered her. How can I forget the only time my mom offered to take me to the arcade center and told me to play to my heart's content without worrying about how expensive the tickets are? I thought she was finally being nice to me and wanted me to genuinely have fun, but then a strange girl met us at the arcade, and my mom introduced her as an acquaintance. After introducing me, she told me I should go inside and play while she talks with the girl for a while. I was a little disappointed, but nonetheless, I enjoyed myself at the arcade. When we came back home that day, my mom told me that the girl I met at the arcade was my oldest sister from her first marriage. It was a huge shock, and I felt a little sad that the day was not about me, but about this other daughter my mom wanted to meet. So, of course, I remembered her vividly. I told my mom, yes, I remembered my half sister, let's call her T here, and asked her why she is bringing her up suddenly. She said that she has been talking to T for a while, and recently she found out that T has been living on her own while supporting herself through high school. T's dad was an alcoholic, and that was the reason why my mom had left him way back. He still hasn't sobered up and had gambled away all his money and his house while being drunk. T ran away from home about 2 years ago, and finally, after struggling a lot and finding a stable life, she was able to contact her. When she contacted her, she didn't instantly tell her about her living conditions because she hated the mom who walked out on her and left her alone to fend for herself. She was trying to see if I'll send her away or will I be willing to help her out. Now that T finally told her about her struggles, she's going to help out and give her a place to live. Now, I know very well that my mom had flaws. The evidence being she married twice and left both her husbands. Also, she rarely talks to me about my day or spends time with me. But she does do the bare minimum and provides for me, so I don't complain much. That's why when she said that she's going to give T a place to live here, I didn't mind because honestly, how would it change anything? I didn't see a downside to it, so I told her that I don't mind and T can move in whenever she wants. But my mom said that I'm not understanding her. She then made herself clear and told me she had asked T to move in and she had decided that T will be living in my room since there aren't any spare rooms. Also, because T is a sensitive child who had a rough childhood, she doesn't want her to share the room with another person and have her personal space. That's why I'll have to move out of my room and live in the living room. Since we also don't have a spare bed, I'll be sleeping on the couch. That made me angry. To begin with, I already had a really small space. I didn't ask her for a closet or even a study table. My bedroom is actually a storage room with a single bed and a basket where I keep all my stuff. I know we aren't some grand family that can afford much, but to ask me to give up on that and live in the living room? That was just cruel. I was getting angry at her. She was the one who abandoned her daughter and gave her a horrible childhood, and now she's willing to take away the few things I have and give them to her daughter. I started crying at this point. I told her how she's just switching the lives of her two daughters, and all because she feels guilty for abandoning T. I screamed at her and told her she's a horrible mom who does a bare minimum for her child, and now she's even taking that away. My mom also got angry and told me that I'm not a child anymore and a teenager should understand the struggles of their family. She told me her decision is final and I should move out of the room by the evening next day. Then I ran back and locked myself in my room. Even though the next day I moved out of the room, I feel horrible at what she did to me. I specifically feel hatred towards T, who decided to come into our lives out of nowhere and take away the only good things I had. Now I have to struggle to get a decent sleep because the couch is a second-hand piece and I barely fit on it. I've been struggling at school because of lack of sleep and my grades are also suffering. This is all because of my half-sister, and I've been thinking of making her life a living hell. That's why I came up with a few ideas to prank her. I was thinking of ruining her job uniform so she had to miss work, but the more I think about it, the worse I feel. I don't know what to do at this point. I can't bring myself to take revenge, and I can't stop hating her. I can't even hurt my mom since I know she doesn't even care about our living standards as long as she doesn't have to look at us. AITA for thinking of taking revenge on my half sister? Should I just try to move on and find a way to exist in the same space as her? Last week, I posted about my half sister and how my mom asked me to move out of my room just so T can move in. I read the replies of a lot of people here and have thought about my course of action. Although I can't say that I like T, I have been trying to not hate her for what my mom did to me. I have stopped plotting ways to embarrass her and take my revenge. I've come to understand that making her life a living hell wouldn't change the fact that I'm now actually living in the living room. There is no way to make this situation better. And if I cause problems for T, it'll only end up making us all more miserable because T would struggle with adjusting here, and that would make my mom more guilty, and I'll just end up feeling miserable because of being the cause of that depressing mood in an already depressing house. So I've decided to mind my own business and not waste my energy on hating T. If possible, maybe I'll find a place that would allow me to work as a part timer and I'll be able to save up enough money to buy a decent couch for me to sleep on. Life has been so unfair with me. How am I supposed to hate a person when they are being so nice to me? Y'all remember T from my original post, my half sister? Last time I updated here, I told you guys I'll try to stop thinking about ways to make her life miserable and just focus my energy on myself and solving my problems. But I wasn't ready to be friends with the person who caused half the problems in my life. Lately, I have been nice to T and have been leaving her snacks outside her door or would wash her job uniform while doing my own laundry. That is only because I felt pity for her life so far. But she took those things as me wanting to be chummy sisters with her because she had been trying to talk to me whenever possible. She asked me the other day how was school and also why I didn't go out and hang out with my friends. She told me that if I needed money for snacks, I can ask her since she's been saving up enough because she doesn't have to pay for food anymore. Now, I'm really uncomfortable because I didn't think she'd be nice towards me or even acknowledge me. I don't know what to do here. I don't think I can pretend to be nice with her while still hold a grudge towards her for forcing me out of the room. I really hope that me ignoring her is enough and that she gets the hint and leaves me alone. It's been almost a year since I updated here. A lot has happened in the past year. T, my half sister, is graduating from high school next week, and she'll be going to study art at a university in Arizona. In the past year, things have drastically changed between us. After the initial few months of avoiding her and trying not to let her niceness get to me, I ended up confessing how I felt to her. I told her how I blame her for my life being more miserable and how her being nice to me just makes me uncomfortable. I did not expect to be so understanding of my confession. She told me that she didn't know she caused me so much trouble, and then she told me I can sleep in my old bedroom and she'll take the couch. I was so unexpected to hear her blatantly offer up the room that I ended up liking her. Since then, we've been alternating between sleeping on the couch and the bed. We've bonded quite a lot in the past year, and I've really come far in accepting her as my sister. I think I'll actually miss her when she's gone. Yesterday, she got me a part time job at the place she used to work until now. She told me since she will be gone, there was an open space, and she asked the manager to give me a try. I'm grateful for that because I could really use the extra money. I just thought since I told you guys about everything that had happened with T meeting us and moving in, I should update one last time about how things turned out. YTA, that half sister of yours had already struggled so much in her life and she deserves some peace for once. If you want to hate somebody, you should hate your mom or your dad. Even then, I think your mom is trying her best to give you a roof and food, and you should appreciate that. NTA, I think as a teenager, your feelings are genuine, and your mom should have understood that. I think she felt guilty for being the reason for your half sister's wreck of a life and is trying to overcome that guilt by being extra nice, but in the process, she's neglecting your childhood care. Growing up, my 27-year-old mother, Kimber, made it clear that she loved my twin brother, Jack, more than me, and she didn't like having a daughter. Jack was allowed to do whatever he wanted growing up, and Kimber still dotes on him. But Kimber didn't support me emotionally and provided me with only the bare minimum. She let me know when I was about 9 that I would be out of her house and on my own when I turned 18. I still remember how for Jack and I's 13th birthday, she took only Jack to Disneyland for a week and left me with a relative. Her reasoning was that I had a B in science and should have focused more on school if I wanted to go. Instead of having fun during my teens, I was constantly working and saving to buy a car for myself. Jack totaled his car twice before he turned 17, and she bought him a new car every time. I took out loans during college because Kimber did not contribute a dime to me after I turned 18. Kimber paid for all of Jack's expenses. He went to college to study business but dropped out because it was too hard for him. Jack boasted later about trying college again to become a lawyer, but this time the university kicked him out for bad grades. Now we're at the current day. I just completed my master's. I have a well paying job with a friendly work environment. I have great friends and a lovely boyfriend. I have tried in the past to express to Kimber how her favoritism impacted me. Kimber only defaults to either 1, that never happened, you're a liar, 2, you're exaggerating what happened, or 3, even if that did happen, you deserved it. Jack needed it more than you. I realized I would never get anywhere with Kimber, and we now seldom contact each other. Jack still lives at home with Kimber. He doesn't have a job and just plays video games constantly like a teenager. I got a phone call from Kimber that she's feeling ill. I knew that she was in the hospital for an infection. They discharged her with some antibiotics the day before, but she was still feeling ill. She asked me to pick up some soup from the store and drop it off because she wasn't feeling well enough to get it herself. A reminder that when I got sick as a child, Kimber would leave me to do everything by myself and told me my coughing aggravated her. I know I could have civilly said no or even just dropped off the soup for her. It would have taken me $5 in less than an hour. But instead, I told her, go ask your favorite child. Kimber got angry and told me to stop acting childish, but I told her no and hung up. A friend of Kimber's got her soup and told me I was acting petty and cruel to my sick mother. The friend argued that I wasn't owed anything more than food, clothing, and shelter for 18 years, which Kimber did provide, and how I was an overgrown brat for not taking an hour to help my own mom, and I have no idea how hard raising twins is. I know my response just put fuel on the fire, and I was being petty, but AITA for not caring and for saying it anyway? NTA, her friend is so stupid. If you aren't owed anything more than food, clothing, and shelter, then your mother is owed literally nothing from you, especially not an hour out of your life. Anyway, your mother's a horrid person, and you shouldn't put any stock into the opinions of a horrid person's friends. NTA sounds to me like the overspoiling of the favorite child has led him to become dependent on her. And my guess is, since you haven't talked with each other often, she's contacting you because she's finally realizing her actions made it so she can't depend on him to help her properly. Rather than accept how she treated you, she wants to believe that none of that happened so that she doesn't feel like a total failure as a parent. One kid, the favorite one, turns out isn't doing so hot as an adult. Surely I couldn't have done wrong by the other right. No, I'm not totally incompetent as a parent. She starts to believe her own alternate reality. Q bringing her friend into the picture with one sided arguments as to why you're being awful, and I'm sick and can't get a simple can of soup delivered. Pity party to try to sway you back under the dim, flickering illumination of her gaslight. I have recently gotten into an ugly fight with my sister over our mother's jewelry collection. She passed away a few years ago and had a pretty big collection. My dad said must have been worth around $30,000 to $40,000. When my mom passed, my sister took all of her jewelry and has had it in her apartment ever since. At the time, I didn't think that much about it, but now I have been dating someone for a year and it's gotten really serious, and I intend on marrying her one day. I know some of the pieces would suit my girlfriend really well, specifically the pearl jewelry, which I know she would love. And it bothers me that my sister just took the entire collection without thinking maybe I would want to give some of the stuff to my future wife or daughters. My mother didn't have a will, so there is nothing to refer to in terms of a legal agreement. However, I was always much closer to my mom, and my sister was a lot closer to my dad. I finally decided to talk to my sister about it and asked her if she took all of our mom's jewelry, and she said yes. So I asked her if I could have a few pieces to give to my girlfriend one day when we got engaged or married. She immediately said no and said it was all hers and that she couldn't believe I would even ask. We ended up getting into a really heated argument about it, and I reminded her that we both had the same mother. I was always closer to my mom growing up, and that I didn't have anything of hers to hold on to or pass on to my own family. I also said I wasn't asking for the whole collection or even to split it 50-50. I just wanted a few pieces, specifically the pearl jewelry. Her argument was basically that she was the daughter and jewelry goes to the daughter, not the son, and that she's not going to give any of her family jewelry to a girlfriend that probably won't even last. She told me I was disgusting for even asking, and my girlfriend has absolutely no right to it. She kicked me out of her apartment, and a few hours later, I'm getting text messages from family members asking why my girlfriend thinks she's entitled to my sister's jewelry. To clarify, I don't think my girlfriend is entitled, and she hasn't asked. She doesn't even know about it. I think that I am entitled to at least a few of the things in what was probably a 30-piece collection. I was way closer to my mother, and I don't think it's uncommon for men to give their future wives or daughters family jewelry. My dad waded in and took my sister's side, and they are all making it sound like my girlfriend is demanding my mom's jewelry out of my sister's hands. Everyone is saying I don't have the right to ask my sister to give her stuff to my girlfriend, but I just don't see it as my sister's belongings, and again, I don't want everything. I specifically want 5 pieces, but I would settle for 3. I have never seen my sister wear our mother's pearls to anything, so it's not like she's attached to them. So, am I the AH for asking her to give me some of our mom's jewelry? YTA for continuing to pursue this. You asked nicely, and your sister said no, and it should end there. The time to have discussed what you're entitled to was when the property was distributed, not years later. YTA, the person you are seeing is not part of your family yet, regardless of your plans. Plans change at a moment's notice. If your family does not want them to have the belongings of a dead family member, you need to respect that.